Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
I'm Kerry Fink, and welcome to Helping Seniors TV. Thank you for joining us today for Helping Seniors. As you know, Helping Seniors is a Brevard County, Florida nonprofit association that is dedicated to improving the lives of seniors here in Brevard County. We operate the county's Senior Information Helpline, and to date we've helped over 2,500 families free of charge get connected to resources that can make a difference for them in their aging plan. We're also the folks that you'll find, you'll see Joe Steckler, our president and founder. He has articles everywhere from Hometown News to Ebony News Today to Aldea Today to Senior Scene Magazine. Every place there's something that should be of information of value to seniors, Joe is making an impact for that. In fact, today I get the privilege of sitting in for Joe because he's doing Helping Seniors Radio. And you can join us for Helping Seniors Radio. Find out all the details at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. And today we have a very interesting topic that we're really excited to bring you to. We have some good friends from Enhanced Property Investments. And I'm going to go in and explain a little bit about that. Every once in a while, you'll run into that scenario where it is time to sell a home. And oftentimes, the challenge for us is if we've lived in that home for a long, long time, we've deferred maintenance, we've done a lot of things over the years, and now we find we need to sell the home, and it puts us in a quandary. Is it time to try to fix things up or do things, or what's the best solution? And that's one of the reasons why we asked Jessica Villanova and Brianna Goins to come in and join us today so that we can talk a little bit about it. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
So it really is a fascinating area that, you know, if you're a property owner, you've probably seen, maybe you get a postcard every once in a while and the mail says, I want to buy your home or something like that. And at first, when I met Jessica and Brianna, I was saying, is that what you guys do? And I said, no. Let's talk a little bit about that. So first of all, welcome to the show, and thanks for being part of Helping Seniors.
Thank you
for having us.
We're very happy to be here. We love working with Helping Seniors so far, and we're excited. Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah. So excited for a new year and what we can do together.
It's going to be good. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, though, was because when you get those postcards in the mail, people tend to call if they want to call. But you say a lot of times that's not what it actually looks like it is, right?
Right. And we have used some of those types of direct marketing before to try to contact some homeowners, and more often than not, just from speaking with the homeowners, we've learned, you know, they get dozens of those usually. You get letters, you get the postcards, you get so many things, and oftentimes a lot of those marketers, if you will, are reaching out, and they're not ultimately the person who's looking to buy your house. They're almost a third party who's trying to put the details together, to put a seller and buyer together. So they're not realtors, but they're still in it to kind of get some kind of middle ground, get a fee out of it to connect with a final buyer. So we are direct buyers at Enhanced Property Investments. We are the ones who will be talking to you, signing contracts, actually purchasing the house and doing the repairs, those sorts of things. So that in itself kind of puts us in a different level. We don't charge any fees for what we do to the seller. There's nothing that is kind of hidden in our contracts. You know, everything is very straightforward and upfront. And when people call us, they either talk to myself or Brianna as the first point of contact, and you know, we go through their situation, see what works for them, if they're looking to sell their house, if that's the best option for them, and we will be the direct buyer. So we're the only ones they would deal with through that whole process.
Now, we talked about the fact that most people, when they get ready to sell a home, might say, well, I'm going to find a realtor and I'm going to go that route. But as we have talked about this in the past, one of the thoughts that occurs to me, if you've had a home for years and years, it's like the family homestead, and now mom or dad may be looking at a different living situation that may work better. Maybe they're going to move in with kids, maybe they're going to move into assisted living, and now the home is going to be vacant. And so if they were going to do something with it, it probably is at that point in need of a lot of repair or things like that that are going on with the home. And so the question is, why would they give you guys a call as opposed to calling a realtor? I'm just asking the question. What?
No, and that's fine. A lot of times the home sellers we deal with either have called a realtor before or have thought of that option. What we offer is really ease and convenience at the end of the day. We're not just offering them cash for their home. What we're offering is not having to go through, like you were saying, the repair process, you know, having to do things to the house, having to get it ready to list, having to have people come through and see it. You know, you need, even if your home doesn't need that many repairs, you're talking about cleaning and just coordinating the time for people to come in and out, whether you're still in the home or if you're not, it's often even just as difficult. You know, you need someone at the house to see the people and to go through. And it's not that that's not an option, but at the end of the day, even if they find other buyers, there's usually a lot of tricky situations that can come up. If there are other repairs that are shown or needed, or if those buyers just want certain things fixed or taken care of, you know, they might have issues with lending. We don't have those type of issues because we're direct buyers with cash. So we don't have any contingencies for things like lending or for big inspections. For anything, I mean, we're pretty much, unless we found something huge during an inspection process, we're pretty much giving you the number that we told you we were going to give you, and that's it, and you don't have to worry about anything else coming up.
You know, that was a question, and Brianna, I wanted to ask you a little bit, because you have a lot of experience in this. When a realtor sits down and comes into somebody's home when they're getting ready to sell it, they're going to, you know, I guess one of the problems is we'll go on to Zillow or something like that and try to say, oh, well, my home should be worth this.
Yeah, we get that all the time.
And there must be like some process that I'm talking about even before you guys would normally get involved. If they just call the realtor's going to come out and say, well, here's probably what your home is worth, but you might have to fix this, or what do you find about like what people would say about a home, you know, what they tell you that they've heard from a realtor maybe?
Well, that's more her side. Like they'll, because at first I will send them to her, and then they'll say, okay, well, what's the number? And she's like, it doesn't really work that way. Tell me what's going on, your situation, because she just wants to help, right? So the number is going to be whatever is going to work for everybody. And so they'll say, well, Zillow said that my house is worth this much.
Right.
But that's not based off of anything. It's not based off of taxes or your condition of your home or how old it is. It's just a number that's kind of there. It doesn't really mean anything. It could be higher or lower.
Right.
It really just depends on the condition of the house, any remodeling or updating that needs to be done. And so the Zillow number is totally inaccurate.
Well, and that was a thought, because it seems like it doesn't take into a lot of accounts. We were laughing the other day. We ran across, I guess they had fixed up the Brady Bunch home.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, so you hear about all these stories like that, and it's like, oh, look, burnt avocado is in, you know, that's the new color. So, but a lot of times that does happen if we have a home that's many years old, right? We have a home that was designed for that time, and maybe today's buyer is saying that's not really what I had in mind, or you know, the electrical needs to be upgraded, or the roof is old, or things like that. These are all the things that you might, I guess, probably hear. And then I think we talked too that there is a big difference between a gross number and a net number, right? Because if you look at a Zillow, that might be presumably a best case gross number, but then that doesn't count real estate commissions or transaction fees, closing costs, or things like that. What is that part of the equation when you guys are talking to people?
Yes. So, and basically, like you're saying, if a realtor comes into your home, they're giving you best case scenario what they hope to get for your home.
Right.
And I don't mean any disrespect to realtors. My husband's a realtor. He works on our side with that also. So, but at the end of the day, that's what they're saying. You know, this is what we want to get you. When we give a number, that is the number. You know, we're not saying maybe we'll give you that. It is that number. That's what we're closing at. And yes, we don't have any of the real estate commission fees. You know, there are still standard closing costs, but a lot of times we'll even include those as well, where we cover the closing costs for the seller. So we try to get as close to that number as we can, where there's really nothing else coming off of it, so they have an exact idea of what they're getting. Like we said, we're not going to throw in any extra numbers for repairs down the road. You know, there's no other hidden fees. There's no fees we take out of the deal. That just that number is what they're getting.
You know, I've often heard it said for a lot of people, the single most significant investment that they make in their life is their home, right? They have most of their assets tied up. So I guess one of the problems is when you sit down, and even when you're planning with a realtor, it seems like there's so many areas that you have to maneuver, right? Because the buyer's probably going to want, or probably should want, to do an inspection, and then things come up, and now they're going to expect you to have those things repaired before you close. There may be constraints on when it closes. You mentioned too that sometimes it's contingent on financing or different things like that. And it seems like if somebody talks to you guys, it's like one-stop shop.
Exactly.
You can just make it happen.
It's all about flexibility. So we say, what date do you want to close on? Like she said, her husband Brian is the realtor, so it's a one-stop shop. We recently had a situation where she had received a lot of offers, but she didn't have anywhere to go. And so Brian pretty much found her a place to go. They closed that deal as they're closing the deal on her property. And so we moved her out of her distressed property into like a 55-plus community.
Oh, wow.
And she was so grateful. And she was like, I've received a ton of other offers, but nobody was willing to take the next step and truly help me because she didn't have anybody in her corner.
Right.
And so that was a great example of what we can do for seniors that are in that position.
Well, and that was one of the things that I'd asked when we were talking about this show is like, let's talk about some case studies, because a lot of times, you know, I guess a fear people have is like, oh no, you're a flipper. You're just trying to get it, buy the house from me as cheap as you can, so then you can turn around and make all the money that my house is really worth. And how do you guys, you know, explain that's not exactly?
So what I say is, if you want to list with a realtor, fine. That's a complete option for you. The difference is that you're going to list with a realtor, especially if it's distressed or if it needs updating. It's going to sit on the market for however long until an investor or someone like us comes and purchases the property. But you can avoid listing it with a realtor. You can avoid that 10-step process when you go with someone like Enhanced Property Investments, because it's not sitting on the market for a year or 6 months or whatever, and then the buyer wants the closing and everything. You avoid all of that.
Right, and doesn't it seem like, I'm not experienced, and I guess many people, unless you are a realtor or have that background, probably are not so experienced. When you get into that situation, there's a lot of uncertainty, right? Because you list the house, then sometimes they want to stage the house, so they want all of your stuff out, and then they're going to put in stuff that they think is going to help sell your house. But then if it ends up not being sold, and I've heard this, and I don't know if this is true, but that you usually have, they say you have a one chance to make a good impression. So when the realtor throws that house out on the market, if it picks up a reputation that it's not ready, that kind of moves through that community pretty quick. So now you've just eaten up a lot of time.
It is true. And we've seen that on the backside sometimes when we sell the properties as well. And obviously we're more flexible with that, but we've had properties that we had solid buyers, you know, they were set for closing, and the day before closing, we were called and said, hey, you know, something came up with the lending, something came up with, you know, documents on their side, title work. There's so many things other than just money that can come up in a real estate transaction and stop the sale. And we obviously have some ways of dealing with that, or we're more flexible with that because we're not living in the property. If you're an individual who's living in the property or paying, you know, the mortgage on the property, the utilities, all the expenses out of your own pocket, that can add up. And yeah, if you drop through contracts a couple of times, then like you said, you're sitting on the market. Once you hit, I'd say over 60 days on market in most areas, people, even when they're just looking through it online, they feel like something's wrong with the house. Nothing at all could be wrong with the house. But they feel like there is, because they say, well, if it was good, someone would have already purchased it. It would be gone. So, you know, and then at that point, they're starting to offer you even lower and lower numbers. You know, they're trying to negotiate more because you're already on market for a while. And it can just become this spiral that, unfortunately, the home seller is the one who ultimately deals with all the negatives from it.
Right, and then too, like you mentioned, if somebody is trying to work with some different type of timetable, maybe there's another home that they're going to move into, maybe they have committed to an assisted living that they're going to move in on a certain date, and then all this stuff kind of like goes up in the air. And I guess one of the things, this is a question that, you know, if somebody has a deal with somebody, it's a real estate contract and it falls through, there's really, I mean, I know theoretically they give up their earnest money, but usually that's not a significant amount of money, is it?
No, and a lot of times if it's something from lending or another contingency, the seller doesn't get it anyway because it's all part of the contract that it goes back to the other person. So there's lots of ways that the seller doesn't even get that extra money to at least cover, the expenses they had during that time, and they really are the only ones who lose out.
Right, because they're waiting, they're still paying, like you said, paying a power bill, taxes are accruing, all those different things are going on at the same time. So let's talk about maybe a success story of maybe walk me through, an example where you guys have really made a difference for somebody.
Sure. Well, one of them is the one Brianna was just talking about. And actually, that's one we just finished up right before this last Christmas. And it was an elderly woman who had been living in the house 30 plus years. The house definitely needs some upgrades. She hadn't really upgraded anything throughout that time. And she was getting to the point where she knew most of the major systems were going to start going. And she didn't want to be out of pocket for, even an air conditioner. You're talking $4,000 or $5,000. Sure. Roof, you start to get into 10, 15,000. There's all those things that start coming up after you've been in a house for 20, 30 years. And she had gotten some offers from other people, like we said, but she didn't have a way to transition into another property. She had her goals. She wanted to stay under a certain amount per month because she's on fixed income.
Sure.
So that limited where she could go. She didn't want to just rent because that put her in kind of a negative situation for her, preferences. Sure. And she was looking to get into something 55 plus. So like we said, we kind of helped her find a place to move into, number one, worked out, negotiated that side of the deal for her, or with her. And then we also catered our side in buying her house towards that. So we adjusted all the dates as needed, and we actually ended up having to swing about a week in the middle, and we pushed our date as we needed. We told her, you're completely flexible. We're not kicking you out of your house. So if they get delayed a week, we'll push back a week. We're not making this hard for you. And then we actually had some title work that came up on our side with her house. We worked through all that with her, which a standard home buyer would not have done. I can say that much. And, just with the professionals on our team, we were able to get her to closing. Because some of those issues, I don't even think normally they would have been able to close, or it would have delayed into a couple of months probably.
Right.
So with the professionals on our team, we were able to still make it happen within the same time frame we originally were discussing. So that was a big bonus on her side, that she was able to clear all that. We helped her with some of the references for moving, for getting her furniture from one place to another. For leaving items that she didn't want, because she was downsizing, so there were things she didn't want to take with her. We really just, like we said, made it easy, where she didn't have to worry about anything. She closed on her new house or new condo right before the holidays, and she just let it ride out, enjoyed her family coming home and cooking for her and, taking her through the holidays. And she just was really happy and relaxed knowing that it was all finished and done.
It takes you guys, because I was thinking the other thing that was impressive is you guys are local, you care about the community, and you're really creating a service. It's not like, people have this idea of house flippers, and they're like, oh, the sharks are circling, they're going to get in here. But something you said before that I thought really bears repeating is you said oftentimes you're responsible in some measure for helping improve a particular neighborhood, because if there's a house that is in a neighborhood, the house is either going to bring the neighborhood up or it's going to bring the neighborhood down. And when you guys are able to renovate a house that maybe clearly needed a lot of attention, then it goes on to become, maybe one of the highest selling homes in the neighborhood. Not only have you increased the value of the neighborhood, but you really have increased the value of the neighborhood.
Right, and a lot of times we'll have the neighbors come out and kind of meet us after we've already purchased the house, and they see us there a few times, and they're often very grateful. Very grateful. And it's not anything bad on the homeowner who owned that property. Sometimes they're living in there, sometimes they're not, but you know, things happen where it's hard to take care of a property, and there's many things that can go wrong. And yeah, from a neighbor's side, everybody knows the house on their street or in their neighborhood that's the empty house, the rundown house, and you're not happy about it.
Well, and you know, to be honest, when we talk about this from the Helping Seniors perspective, we get calls quite often on our senior information helpline, which I'm going to give you a moment to grab a pencil so you can take this number down, because it could be valuable for you as well. So the Helping Seniors Information Helpline number is area code 321-473-7770. 321-473-7770. And the reason that I'm bringing that number up is because we get calls from seniors from all over the county. And oftentimes it is somebody calling because they need help themselves. Oftentimes it is the adult child of a parent who is living in the Space Coast area, and they will say something like, the conversation begins more or less the same way. Hey, listen, I live up here in New York, but I was down visiting Mom over the holidays. I am really concerned that Mom is not able to take care of things, because I know how she likes to take care of things, and she's not doing that. And oftentimes this happens that we'll get a call from a neighbor who will say, hey, listen, you know, I didn't know who to call, but the lady who lives 3 doors down, I'm concerned if she's getting food, the yard is overgrown, there's this thing going on. And so a lot of times I would imagine that you're stepping into a situation where not only are you creating an improvement for the neighborhood, but you're really helping the person who probably under ideal circumstances would want to be able to do more with the house, or maybe they're just not physically feeling up to being able to do that with the house. So you guys really step in and create that level of service that moves them to something that's going to be beneficial for them.
Sure, and there are a lot of situations that can occur also. One of the properties we purchased in December, just this last month, very similar situation. You know, a neighbor had called in, they said, you know, we haven't seen her in a little bit, we're not sure what her situation is and what's going on, and we were able to get in there through another realtor also who had been referred as well. So we all sat and, you know, we figured out what she needed. We actually ended up closing the property in just under 2 weeks.
So if somebody was trying to do something fast, because maybe they, you know, a lot of times these things happen, somebody is here, then something happens, now they're in a hospital, and they're not going to be able to return home.
Exactly, that was her exact situation. And she said, I need this done as quickly as possible. I need the money out so that she was going to use it for her care afterwards, whether it was an assisted living or a more upgraded facility. And, you know, we worked things out too with things that were left in the house. We ended up packing some things up for her, and, you know, just personal things that you wouldn't want to leave when you were moving and whatnot, but she didn't have the ability to get herself. So we do that for people all the time. If we find something that, you know, is personal and that they wouldn't want to have thrown out, we're not just going to throw it out and not think about it anymore. So
yeah, and I thought about that when we've talked about that, because I've heard the radio show. By the way, if you want to catch both the radio show or the TV show, they're all archived. You can find them on the Helping Seniors website, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. And also there's a YouTube channel, and people increasingly are finding that YouTube channel because you can go in and you can search by topic, and then you can pull up and you can watch these programs just like this one anytime that it becomes relevant for you. And what I was going to say about that is, as people discover this, one of the things that I remember you were talking about is that you guys are local. It's not somebody flying in from Las Vegas saying, I'm here to buy this house and sell it next week. You really are concerned for the people that you're working with, and you want to see a good outcome. Obviously, you're a business and you have to make it work for you, but you want, it seems to me like where you are is you're trying to find the right fit.
Sure, and that's a big concern for us. That's why we like to sit down directly with sellers. You know, we don't want it to just be something over the phone, or like Brianna was saying, sometimes they'll just call us and say, can you give us a number? And we're like, you know, that's just not really what we do. I can give you a number, but it doesn't really mean anything. I don't know you, I don't know your situation. Because I know we discussed this even the first time we sat down, where it might not be your best option to sell your house to us. We of course would like to help you and buy it, but that might not be your best. So we'd like to sit and say, hey, if you're...
These are your options.
Right, these are your options. If you're looking for something else, definitely pursue that. If we are your best option, though, we do offer a multitude of things, mostly the convenience and the flexibility and the quick cash out where you can just walk away.
So we just have probably a minute or so left, but I did want to ask you this: what point should somebody give you guys a call? Like, you know, just when they're starting to think about it, after they've talked to a realtor, what do you suggest?
Anytime.
Just give you a call.
Anytime. Even if they're like 6 months from now, I'm moving and I just want a quick sell. It doesn't matter when it is.
Just give you a call and have the discussion. Does it cost anything to have? So that's free.
Completely free.
So what do you lose by giving you guys a call? Because the worst thing you'd say is, okay, I'll think about this and
the worst thing they can do is it's a no obligation offer. So even if we sit down and give them an offer, they can say no thank you and walk away, and there's no hard feelings, and they can turn around 6 months later and say, I didn't find anything else that worked for me. Is the offer still on the table? We're just here for you.
That's great. So real quickly, let me have you guys give the phone number to reach you.
You do it. Go ahead.
Let me do it, because I think I forgot it.
All right. Well, like you said, it's Enhanced Property Investments. Our phone number is 321-351-3222. And once again, that's 321-351-3222.
And you also have a website, right?
We do. It is enhancedpropertyinvestments.com, and that's enhanced, ENHANCED.
Good. So, you know, and also here at the Brevard Senior Resource Center, where we're taping our TV program today, we also do community information seminars, and be looking for more information, because you guys are going to be presenting at those coming up. So always check the Helping Seniors website at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. So thanks, guys, for taking the time to be here with us and give us a little bit of insight so that we understand exactly what you guys are able to do and how that can be helping seniors. And so again, I'm Kerry Fink for Helping Seniors of Brevard Television. Thanks for joining us today.
Joe Stackler, thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses, and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.